Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. Get some weed and now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Penny Bloom Dispatch. Today, we've got a fun show ahead for you. We've got a sports segment, we've got entertainment, and we've got archaeology instead of science today, and those are fun. We're gonna, in the sports section, we'll talk a little Aaron Judge, a little baseball with the Royals, and the first piece of NFL news I'm ready to talk about. I'm very excited for that. In entertainment, we're going to talk a plethora of topics, a new Hulu original series. Kit Harington is coming up, a fun new casting for an A24 biopic, a new television premiere in Rick and Morty, the anime. I'll be discussing that. We got some news regarding a potential new John Wick movie, and I'll be giving my review for Alien Romulus along with my Alien franchise ranking. And then with that archaeology segment, we've got Joe coming in with a little information about Stonehenge, and I'm excited to hear about it because I am genuinely curious what he's bringing to the table today. We're going to round out the episode with a album of the week and another on the spot, and this week is movie themed, so I'm very, very ready for that. And we can go ahead and take it in wherever you'd like to begin. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And we got quite the show today, so I say we start with the shortest segment. I'm going to go with sports. I'm going to start sports here. Obviously, we're Kansas City homegrown. We love our Royals. We love the Chiefs. We love the Royals, and the Royals are on a hot streak right now. We faced the Cincinnati Reds in a 3-game series, and we outscored them 28-3. We won Saturday 13-1, and actually scored all 13 of those runs in the first 5 innings. So we went 4 innings, no runs, and still won 13-1. Kind of went in. Kind of a crazy little stat here is that Darren Blanco hit 2 home runs and knocked in 7 RBIs, which is too short of the single game record for the Royals set by Mike Moustakas. Like I said, he got 7 of those RBIs in 5 innings. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was slowly. I'm like watching the Royals every now and then. This was just one game that I feel like the game was earlier. I catch the later like dinner time games. I don't know if this one was a noon or early one, but I feel like I checked the score box. Yeah, I checked the score, and I'm like, what? Because I usually make a daily, just like a daily bet to put in for Bobby Witt. It's just I want him to hit a home run and a steal in the same game, and it's just like if it happens, I get like $10. So like I do it, and I just see if the game's been played yet. If I missed it, and I check in, and I'm like, wait, what? Excuse me? And I saw that, and I was like. Yeah, I checked. I'm like, okay, did Bobby hit the home run to check for my bet? And I'm like, no. So I'm going through everyone else. No. And then Blanco, I'm like, dang, Blanco, because he doesn't usually play for us. He's like not in the rotation usually.
No, not a usual player, but he made a fucking statement. I bet we can count on him a little bit more. We've got 2 home runs and 7 RBIs in 5 innings there. So he went kind of fucking ham. The record for single game RBI record for the Royals was Mike Moustakas in 2015. He knocked in 9 RBIs in a single game, so he was close. Didn't quite get there, but
dang,
yeah. Royals won the three games against the Reds and outscored them 28-3. So that was just a fun little piece of news. Kansas City, born and bred, felt like it was a fun place to start. We can now. I'll continue with baseball here. Aaron Judge, the heavy hitter for the New York Yankees, hit his 300th career home run. And he reached that mark faster than any player in history. It was in his 955th career game, fastest by 100 games. And he also beat the long-standing record by the Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner there. Reached that milestone in 1,087. And maybe even more impressive is that it was his 3,431st at-bat, which I don't know if you can do the math there, but 300 home runs and just over 3,000 at-bats. It's almost 1 in every 10 at-bats he's going fucking yah-yah, which is pretty nuts. And obviously not quite. It's about 3,500, so it's the math's a little off there. But still, and that was 400 at-bats faster than Babe Ruth, which was the other fastest. And the fun career mark that I like to keep an eye on is obviously Barry Bonds, the home run king, the guy who holds the record. He ended his career with 762 home runs, which is obviously a bit more than twice as many, in 9,847 at-bats. So about 3 times as many at-bats, 2.5 times as many home runs. So if Aaron Judge stays healthy and has a nice long career, we could be looking at a new home run king. Now, I'm not going to get my hopes up for that. Ryan Howard reached this mark in about the same amount of game, like a few games short of that Ralph Kiner record. And Ryan Howard, who was an absolute powerhouse, he dealt with some injuries. He dealt with some he dealt with some stuff that kept him from getting to the top. And so, like, that's a very real possibility. Don't love to hear that. Ken Griffey Jr., obviously one of my favorite baseball players of all time. Boy could hit tanks. And, I mean, he did reach 630, which is insane considering the injuries he dealt with in his career. So if Aaron Judge stays healthy, we could be looking at a extremely notable career and where the pitching in the league has never been better. Absolutely insane to be hitting like that at this level.
That's true. That only makes it more impressive, the fact that it is in this era of baseball too. And then I guess that the logic would say that as he gets older, his home runs would probably slow down. But I don't like Aaron Judge might be like kind of like I don't want to call him the LeBron James of baseball, but like his body is just not the normal body that is in baseball.
Like no, not at all. The dude is a fucking tank, and obviously there's something to be said for the fact that is harder to maintain the longer you stay in the league, but now science is at a place, money's at a place where baseball contracts are no fucking joke. This guy, NFL players gotta feel fucking shit about the money NBA and MLB players make because they put their bodies on the line way more and get paid infinitesimal amounts less. It's insane how much less NFL players make than MLB and NBA. But it was a really cool. I love home runs. I loved baseball growing up, and I still do. And goddamn, do I just love watching the ball pop off a fucking bat. So seeing Aaron Judge go for the 300th time in his career. And, and like I said, 955 games, about the same pace as it is with his at-bats. 1 every 3 games or so, which is insane. Just wanted to give that a little love. And the last thing I wanted to talk in sports was football. I'm very excited for the football season. We just did my family's fantasy football draft. That's always really fun because it's 5 teams. Everybody's absolutely fucking stacked, because it is a 5-team league. Usually you get into a 8, 10, 12 player league and you're like, okay, well, towards the bottom of my roster, I don't even really know who these guys are. I'm just hoping for the best, This, every single player getting drafted because there's only 5 teams. So it's a lot of fun. But I'm trying to stay tapped into the season a little bit more. And the most notable story of the season so far, as we are just very, very early, is that the rookie for the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, is unfortunately out for the season with a knee injury. He tore his meniscus in training camp. Just got drafted.
Ooh.
He's the first. I read a stat somewhere that he's the first player to ever get drafted in the first round to be out for the season before even playing a game. Now, there's a lot of obviously you'd prefer the kid's healthy. You want him to be good. It's crazy that now I can actually say kid. He's 21.
Dang, they actually.
He's 21.
I mean,
he's actually 3 years younger than me. So I can actually call him kid. The kid is 21 years old. Had he started week 1, he would have been the youngest starting quarterback in the history of the league. And and there was a lot of turmoil, because the other quarterback they have in Minnesota is Sam Darnold. He's on his fourth team in 3 years. He hasn't looked good. He has not been hot. However, you do probably end up betting on him over the 21-year-old rookie who would be the youngest starting quarterback in the history of the league. But the other angle is that if Sam Darnold goes out there and throws a few shitters for the first couple games, they have a really tough schedule to start the season. They go 1-3, 1-4. You lose the locker room a little bit. You start going, okay, maybe we start throwing J.J. McCarthy out there. Causes maybe a little bit of angst in the locker room. It's if there is a silver lining, that's what you can kind of take from it. Sam Darnold's getting a second chance, or a third or fourth chance, depending on how you look at it. I have faith that in Minnesota with tools like Justin Jefferson, he's going to do pretty good. And J.J. McCarthy, it was the right move. A torn meniscus, it's a difficult thing. I've dealt with every knee injury in the book. I have torn my meniscus. I've torn my MCL. I've torn my ACL. I've torn everything in my fucking knees. There's nothing in my knees that's as it started. So the meniscus is a tough one because they had two options. The meniscus is weird enough to where, like, if you want, you can trim the meniscus, which sounds ugly. You can trim the meniscus and be back in a month.
But it's gone forever. Like, that's... You
can snip. Now and that's the thing. It has more long-term effects. Your career won't be as long. You're more prone to injury. It's just but you can be back in a month, which is why maybe late in your career, you take the option to trim the meniscus. You haven't even made it to the league yet, officially. You haven't played an NFL game. You are looking to be the franchise quarterback as you are 21 years old. I'm glad the Viking staff and J.J. McCarthy and the medical team all agreed that it was best. He sits out the season, fully heals. They just repaired the meniscus instead of trimming it. Because a similar thing happened to Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade trimmed his meniscus. He was more middle of his career. He wasn't super late in his career. But I think if you asked him, the Olympics just happened, and he's watching LeBron James, who was drafted in the same year he was, playing at the game while he was commentating it. You know what I'm saying? And like that's there's something to be said that maybe he could still be out there if he got a lot of knee injuries towards the end of his career, and maybe he blames that trimming of the meniscus. So like J.J. McCarthy, while he is out for the season, and it's a sad way to kick off a career, it's probably what's best. I mean, not for his knees, but for the decisions that they landed on is probably what's best. So Sam Darnold will get the starting job in Minnesota. And while they probably would have done that anyway, now they're locked into that, and they don't have any other option, which I think gives them an opportunity this early on to lock the fuck in. Now they are in a really good division. They don't stand a fucking chance, I think, against the Lions or the Packers and even the Bears with Caleb Williams starting this season. They've got a lot of really good tools. Minnesota's not looking hot, but it's going to be an interesting season, and I'm excited for football. So, and that's sports. That's everything I've got. What do you want to do next? Is it archaeology time? You want to go ahead and dig in there before we get to entertainment?
Yeah. I guess if we want, it's kind of brief. It's new. It's crazy. It's new news with archaeology, which I guess should happen. But when in my head, I thought I would just be covering things that have already been discovered, or whatever.
Typically, that's what you think of with archaeology.
With Stonehenge, just this week, a whalesman. This was the funny part of it, I guess, that all the stones that make up Stonehenge were believed to have just come right from around that area, or Wales. They knew that some came from Wales, which is where is my number? Yeah, about like 50 miles away. So not like too far away. Some even like 20 miles at the closest, but Wales. So like they knew they transported some stones to Stonehenge, but that was the furthest that they ever went. But the altar stone, as they call it, the stone that's buried right in the middle, you can barely see any of it. Most of it's underground, but it's actually one of the heaviest ones there. it's found that this one stone came from Scotland, and not like close to England, the furthest point, the northern point of Scotland. It's coming from basically the coast of Scotland, and the it's just never believed that anyone could come, or that any stone could make it that far. It's
far. Yeah.
Stonehenge was built like 5,000 years ago. Like pyramids have existed, so like obviously we've seen structures on Earth that are grander than Stonehenge, but at this point in history, at least the credit that we give to the people that were living here is not enough. Not enough, whether it's communication between these different parts of land, between like Stonehenge is in the very southern, southwestern or southeastern part of England, and then the stones from Wales. I mean, it is still like 20, sometimes 50 miles away. That is still quite the distance. But that's
nothing to scoff at. Yeah.
The one stone in Scotland is the one that kind of scratches your brain a little bit. Like they either had to drag it quite a ways over land, and it's not just flat land either. I mean, it's England, and I mean, there's very like a lot of obstacles to go. In my head, it just makes sense. It's coming from the coast. The ones in Wales are coming from the coast. It seems that they're taking these by boat or by the water somehow. At least that's how we would do it, I feel like, today, for sure.
But yeah, like 5,000 years ago with those boats being weighed down, like the density of that rock's got to be a little bit of a problem for a boat 5,000 years ago, I'd think.
Yeah, and so it's a weird. There's a disconnect somewhere, I guess, and there has been no good explanation. That's just kind of where people are at. It's a new discovery. People are just finding out that this rock even came from Scotland.
That's bizarre.
This week. So people are kind of spinning, different theories and everything like that. I think at least in my head, the logical reasoning goes to water, that we maybe we don't credit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there was just some naval shit.
Boat's a boat, like if you could figure out how to, like, I'm sure somebody could have figured that out. It's nothing too insane.
I wonder. Yeah, it doesn't seem that impossible. And it's one stone. It's not like we're building like a massive, the pyramids where we're collecting thousands and thousands. It's like they had to move one stone. I think the more interesting conversation might be like, why? Why go through all the trouble to make this monument and have a collection of stones scattered across the continent? It almost feels like, hey, look at what we can do. Like it almost feels purposeful, like it will stand the test of time, whether it is they're planning it for the future or it's just a ceremonial something. I don't know, but why? Why?
Yeah, it's interesting that because you said most of the stones come from Wales, but this one stone right in the middle,
the altar stone, as it's called too. So, and it's obviously like it Stonehenge. It lines up with equinoxes and celestial dates, like very important. Like it's a clock basically, and it shows some understanding of like it kind of feels like to me that the purpose of it is to either use it as a clock or to be like, hey, this is where we're at. Like we understand the equinoxes. We understand all the planets, where they are, what they mean, like, and we can turn the planets into a clock. Also, look at what we can do. We can take stones from 500 miles away and bury it. It doesn't maybe seem that it's the primary purpose of Stonehenge, but at least it's what they did as a byproduct of making it, and I feel like it's a pretty cool slice of history just to it's either a lot of people are working together, and like the people whoever lived in England and Scotland I don't know if it was even Scotland at this time or England, whatever, probably not. But like if these people were in communications with each other, or if it was just like, we know we have to get this stone down to this location or it's something has to, I don't know. It feels like there's something there. And it can't just be like they needed this. They found this stone and they're like, yep, we needed it all the way down here on the southern end.
It's That is interesting to think about. It almost does feel braggadocious, like it beyond any more literal explanation for why. Like it almost feels like maybe we just show off what we can do a little bit if this is going to stay standing for as long as we hope it will. And if 5,000 years ago, I'm trying to think, like, I don't even know.
My 2500 BC.
Yeah, my world history isn't adept enough to be able to tell you what was happening in the region at that time.
Yeah, I think that's like the very ends of Egypt. Like I think that's like the fall of the. I think that's
Egyptian
right around
Empire.
this. I think it might. I don't know. I could be very wrong there, but yeah, it's. I don't even know if it is called Scotland at this. I mean, it's probably
no. I severely doubt it was. Yeah, exactly.
No. So yeah, that's how. But yeah, I wonder.
Insane.
It feels like there's some connectedness there. I don't know, but we're in the very early days of it, so we just made the discovery. So I don't know if now knowing this, there will just be more research and I don't know more
around
teams looking
Stonehenge.
into it. But yeah,
that's fascinating. Well, yeah, I hope we get a little more light shed on that, and you can kind of keep us updated here in the weeks to come if we can't on the Stonehenge update. But is that it for archaeology then? Just the Stonehenge stuff?
That's Stonehenge. There was other sad news in archaeology, and there's not really much there. It's just there's a new one of the oldest monolithic sites in human history was just discovered not too long ago. It's called Göbekli Tepe. It's in Turkey, and it dates to 11,600 years ago. And as of right now, it's the oldest thing we have ever uncovered, and it kind of screws with our timeline a little bit. We said that civilization started 9,500 years ago, and that's when we just started to farm and finally be able to become a civilization. But this thing is 11,600 years old, and it's massive. It's 50 times larger than Stonehenge. So I mean, Stonehenge isn't big, but it's 90 football fields altogether. This thing, it's massive. It's like it's a town, or it's a city basically.
Yeah.
And they've uncovered 5% of it. That's uncovered from the ground. They've dug up 5%, and they've halted all of further archaeology or all further digs for some reason. They've built just a covering over what they've uncovered, and it's now become like a tourist attraction. And they're just stopping all further digs. And the discoveries that were coming from here were like crazy and like history changing. And that's why like it feels weird that they're covering it up. And like it'd be one thing, it feels crackpot to be like, oh, they're covering up this massive thing. Literally, it's the size of a shit ton of football fields. There is more to be uncovered. They planted 2 orchards of trees over top of what is like literally known to have many more structures underneath it. And eventually, if those trees were to be there forever, the roots would literally get into these buildings and destroy them. And like, so like they can't be there forever or else it will destroy. So like they're saying that they're there to provide shade and stuff for the tourist attraction eventually. So that's the current reason. So that's weird.
That feels bad.
And then the covering that they did build over the extended parts, they like drilled straight into pillars and like things that have like their history markings on them. Like the covering, they did not care about like preserving what was even in there, which was kind of crazy. And they're building roads over like existing structures as well, and they're cracking through pillars and literally destroying things as they're building the roads. And then they're like, it's really really weird right now. So that's. I don't know. It's just become a tourist attraction instead of figuring out what's there. So it's kind of more sad. But yeah, that's kind of I don't know. I hope there's not really a weekly thing we can keep up because it's said
seems like it's done. Yeah.
I mean, it's been quoted that Göbekli Tepe should be passed down to further generations to study. And that's their reasoning for locking everything down and putting these things up here, is that it's not our time to study it, and that it should just be saved for future generations.
Yeah, it sounds
but
like
what actually happened is they just sold it to Yeah, they sold it for like 15, like I don't know. It was there was a big deal that happened in the background, and it feels, I don't know, like it just feels very icky. And I don't know all the ins and outs of the politics and stuff, but they're at least covering up, like without a doubt they are literally covering up, not politically covering up. They are literally covering up with trees and with the shade thing, like the actual dig, and they're not letting it happen anymore.
Yeah, literally covering shit up.
So,
yeah, that
so
feels nasty. I do not love that.
Yeah, that's really weird. But Stonehenge is way more cool, and I hope to keep an eye on that and update on that. And maybe there is a good news update for Gobeckli Tepe in the future. But as of right now, it doesn't seem good.
Maybe some preservation
sadly.
society can come in and declare it a historical landmark, and they can stop fucking building shit on top of it, like paving roads. And I mean, hard to be anti-planting trees, but the place that you are planting the trees feels pretty, like, why would you do that? Especially if it's to provide shade for a tourist attraction. Like, oh, fuck yourself. Like, God. Like, ugh.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And maybe there's something else that maybe there's a big piece that I'm missing. I don't know, but it just doesn't, it's not screaming, it's screaming, we got a lot of money for this, and we can make a lot of money off of just this one little thing instead of uncovering whatever the fuck is here.
I hate to be a cynic here, but you would think from a business perspective, the thing that would be a much more attractive tourist attraction is if you uncovered the whole fucking thing first, no? And maybe if you dig a certain amount... I was going to say, if you dig a certain amount, you uncover a certain amount, it becomes like you're not allowed to turn it into a tourist attraction if they uncover enough stuff. Like maybe this was like the time. Like they were like, if you're going to sell it, we need to get it while the getting's hot, because once you get to a certain point, I won't have the rights to it, essentially. Like maybe that's the case, but even so, like that's disgusting either way, like to think you have the right to history.
It is a weird sight, I guess. It's like a bunch of little buildings that are they're not really, it's not one massive thing. It's just a bunch of circular buildings that it just kind of looks like a mini civilization. I don't know. But some of them are clearly where they gather. Some of them are a lot bigger than the normal. And I think that's the part that they did uncover, was like the room that looked a little bit bigger than the others. But there's still like, they've uncovered 5% of what they've just scanned with LiDAR, and LiDAR doesn't even actually go like as deep as they think the actual whole thing goes. So they've uncovered 5% of what they think is there. So to halt everything, it does feel like it's just a cash grab. But you're right. Why not be like, hey, this is the oldest thing that we know of human history, that humans have ever built, and we're going to show you 5% of it rather than the whole thing.
Yeah, like it almost feels counterintuitive. Like if it is a tourist attraction, you're attracting people to go, oh, and also there's a bunch more beneath our feet that we didn't allow you to see because we decided to buy it and build a tourist attraction. Like, I don't know. That just, I don't like that.
Maybe there's some Indiana Jones shit going on. There's some crazy
it's not
world
for the eyes of humans.
Story going. Yeah. We need Indy. We need Indy in the background to take care of it for us. But yeah, that's sadly the Gobeckli Tepe update.
I need Sala.
But true. Yeah, I guess that's our contact over there.
That's too bad. That is too bad. But I'm glad with the Stonehenge news. I'm hoping we can get more out of that. And, hopefully the Gobeckli Tepe, Gobeckli Tepe, is that it?
Yeah,
Gobeckli
Tepe. Gobeck, like Trebek is how I first thought of it. I don't know why. That's the first word but Gobeckli, and then Tepe is the second word.
Gobeckli. I was going Gobeckli. Gobeckli Tepe. Okay.
Gobeckli Tepe.
Gobeckli Tepe. I hope we can get some more updates on that, because if we do get more updates on it, it's likely in a good direction. I hope. I hope the direction isn't the tourist attraction's now open. Like that would really be disappointing. But yeah. All right. Then with that, we can go ahead and get on into entertainment. We got a big lineup in entertainment today, and we're going to start with Kit Harington. He did an interview with ABC News where he opened up a bit about his sobriety, the end of Game of Thrones and the work he's done since. And it was very illuminating. It was very illuminating. I like Kit Harington a lot, man. I really do. Obviously, if you were with us for Winter is Blooming, our Game of Thrones rewatch, we like Kit Harington. We love Jon Snow. And it's cool to watch him grow as a person and actor, which is something that this interview dove into quite a bit, specifically regarding his sobriety. I actually remember it was like the 4th episode of this podcast when it was just me and Tavares, the first time he checked into rehab after the ending of Game of Thrones. And we were like, whoa, what happened? And it's interesting to see him open up now 5 years later, which is insane to think about it, and kind of being, he describes how there was a point in his life when not drinking felt impossible, emotionally and physically. Didn't feel like it was something he was ever going to be able to get away from him. And ever since then, during that time, he wasn't proud of anything he did. His self-worth was at an all-time low. And now he's proud of the fact that he's sober, and being proud of anything at all, specifically that, is a sign of a huge improvement for him, according to him. And that's really, really cool to see. And it illuminates to a degree a lot more why he might be hesitant to revisit the world of Game of Thrones. It came at a point in his life where he was, I'm assuming, like I said, season 8 of Game of Thrones ended, and a couple weeks later he checked into rehab, and I'm not saying there's a direct one-to-one correlation, but I am saying that there is something to the idea that period of his life he recalls and ties to the 10-year period he was on Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes sense. Illuminates to a degree why, he hasn't been keen on talking House of the Dragon. He doesn't watch it. He's not he wishes everybody well, but it's not where he belongs. The Jon Snow series didn't get off the ground, and it seems like it was because he decided he wouldn't come back for it, as kind of the story, it seems. And I feel like that's what's best. If that's what's best for him, it's what's best for him, And I think that's good. And I liked this interview. It was really, like I said, really illuminating. And he's done a lot of great work since. And it's work he's proud of, work that he feels he can be proud of. Before he says he had this monkey on his back weighing him down, and now he feels good about what he's doing. And I respect and appreciate that.
I feel. It's not or the comparison that I made in my mind was the Joe, what's his last name?
Joe Keery. Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Joe Keery and Steve Harrington, and kind of Kit and John on a, I feel like on a even heightened level.
This has been
for Steve Harrington. Yeah, that's on a whole different level with Jon Snow. And like, I already felt bad for like Joe Keery, and like, it's like, man, yeah, it's gonna be like impossible for him.
Getting his music career off the ground and everything, not wanting to be recognized as Steve Harrington. Well, and I mean, like, it's been happening to actors for ever. Carrie Fisher, that was Princess Leia until the day she died, and then she eventually got a new kind of typecast as the snarky best friend type, and that was kind of her lane. Mark Hamill. There's a reason the most notable thing he ever did was Luke Skywalker. It's because every time anybody ever looks at him after that, they go, well, that's Luke fucking Skywalker. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been happening to actors for as long as people have been put to film, especially with franchise IP. I think that it really, really weighs people down to a degree. I think it's why it makes the people who break through that to a degree all the more lucky. I wouldn't even say impressive, but all the more lucky. I think that like Harrison Ford being Indiana Jones before he was even done being Han Solo really helped. Because then he had this other iconic character he got to latch himself onto. And now, if he's two iconic characters, why can't he be a third? Why can't he be a fourth? Why can't he keep doing this? And I think that that's sort of something there. And obviously Kit Harington has tried to get himself off the ground a little bit. He was in Eternals, played Dane Whitman, and I wish that Black Knight was actually something the MCU felt like it could move forward with, because that character's fucking awesome, and I love Kit Harington. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're moving forward with anything Eternals related, which really, really blows. he just had a movie released in theaters called The Beast Within, which I'm pretty sure he played a werewolf type character. And I wanted to catch it, but it was just at certain time. It only had like one showing a day, and it was late, and I couldn't get Emily to want to go see it. But now he's on Industry, another HBO series, so he's staying booked and busy. You know, he might not. It might not be anything as huge as Game of Thrones. Eternals, you could argue, was, as it is MCU, but even that I wouldn't say was as big as Game of Thrones. And I hope that his career sees a revitalization in terms of popularity, and I hope that he starts getting. He is booked and busy, but I hope he starts booking the stuff that is worthy of his caliber of actor, because I think he's really, really good. Not to say that Industry isn't. I haven't watched it. I've heard it's really, really good, and it's something that I am interested in checking out. But I hope he can get a little more love as Kit Harington, not as Jon Snow.
Yeah, love the man. I got him up on my wall. I guess it's right out of frame.
Oh, that's right.
But I do look at him as Jon Snow every night. So maybe I'll start saying, I love you, Kit.
I love
every
you,
time
Kit.
I walk by.
Love you, Kit.
Every time I walk by him now. So
yeah, no, he seems to be in a good place, and that's good. But next up, we've got Hulu's first Spanish language series is set to premiere October 9th. It is titled La Máquina, and it is written and starring Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal. They co-starred in the movie from 2001 titled Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is an insanely good movie, insanely sexy movie, absurdly good. And you're familiar with both of these actors via other things. Obviously, Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, as we are very, very familiar, and Gael Garcia Bernal was actually Werewolf by Night a couple years ago in the Marvel Studios special presentation, as they put it. So you're not completely strangers to Gael Garcia Bernal. He was also in Old a couple years back, the M. Night Shyamalan movie with the beach that makes you old. I actually watched that.
Never heard of that one.
Oh, really? You've never seen The Beach That Makes You Old?
No.
Oh, I actually think you dig that movie. I'm not gonna lie. I think you'd like that. It's a fucking weird one, and you obviously gotta suspend belief, but like it's a lot. It's intense,
The
and
Beach That Makes
dig
You
it.
Old.
Yeah, it's been a huge meme. I can't believe you've never come across The Beach That Makes You Old. But
it's how underground. Yeah, I don't know. It's
right.
how offline. I guess I am.
But yeah, Vanity Fair reported on it. They started developing the idea a couple years back when they were reunited at a film festival. They were like, we want to do something, and they found something they wanted to do together. So it's going to result in Hulu's first Spanish language series, again, premiering in a couple months on October 9th. And I'm very excited because I'm absolutely going to watch that. I love Diego Luna. I've grown to appreciate Gael Garcia Bernal quite a bit. Obviously, the Star Wars stuff makes me much more amenable to Diego Luna immediately, but then seeing Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is incredible. I believe I gave you a DVD of Y Tu Mama Tambien,
yes.
correct?
It is on physical.
Yes,
I do have it.
That's right.
Yeah,
I got the Criterion of it, so I was ready to part ways with the DVD. But yeah, that's one. Obviously, you're down at school now. Not one you wanted to like throw on in the living room of your family home.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now that I'm, I guess, down here, because I don't know. I've been making my way slowly through. I've been saving the good ones. Like I can throw on, like, I have a bunch of Pixar movies to get through, and those are easy ones I throw on when I'm doing work and whatever. But I'm saving those ones when I can actually dedicate the time to watch them. Good choice. So, but yeah, that one I don't know. It's up there on the good ones though to get to, because it's one I haven't seen, and there's not many that I haven't seen.
Oh yeah,
so
they've got incredible chemistry. They're a really strong duo, really strong working partnership. So I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be a real highlight. So La Máquina coming October 9th. Next up, we got a little casting news, which is potential casting news. Nothing hardcore yet. No, the casting is official. The production side of things is unofficial. Dominic Sessa of newly acclaimed Holdovers fame. He's the young cat in Holdovers. Has been cast as Anthony Bourdain in a potentially A24 produced biopic, Tony.
Oh yeah.
The traveling food documentarian. Very, very beloved. Only died a few years ago. So it is an interesting. Yes. Committed suicide, sadly. So
I didn't.
Yeah, real sad one, and it is going to be directed by Blackberry filmmaker Matt Johnson. Blackberry from last year with Glenn Howerton and that side of things.
Yeah.
Now I think Hollywood's got a little bit of a biopic bug right now. They are always 50-50. You never know with a biopic. This is a risky one. I like Dominic Sessa a lot, and it has the potential. It's a big career swing this early, because Anthony Bourdain was a beloved figure in many circles, and
Am I I guess because he's young, like he's playing a young Anthony Bourdain.
I'm assuming so, and I'm assuming makeup might age him up the more the biopic digs into him. I don't know anything about the biopic beyond it being a biopic about Anthony Bourdain.
Because I guess maybe just my life, I've only seen him in his older years, I guess. So I just didn't know. Like, is he always when did he start his fame? I guess
I don't know how long Anthony Bourdain's been famous, but. It's yeah, I guess he was on, let's see. Yeah, born in 1956. Looks like most of his fame came in the 2010s as far as I can tell.
Okay. So he wasn't known as his, cuz I feel like I know him as his, I don't know. When I pictured him, yeah, it was kind of as his I pictured that it wouldn't be a child actor doing his biopic. But I guess maybe...
Well, he's not strictly a child either. He's young 20s,
true.
you know.
I guess it's not... Maybe we know that part of his life, and that's why they're focusing on...
maybe they're illuminating more. Yeah, that could be something, you know. So, like, that's the thing is that, like, I think it's a big, bold career swing for Dominic Sessa. Sadly, I see more potential failure than I do success. Most biopics, I kind of view that as the case. Especially something so fresh. I mean, Bourdain passed 6 years ago, so by the time the movie comes out, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So like,
that's crazy.
It's just a really, really. It could go bad for Dominic Sessa, I think, which worries me because I like Dominic Sessa. I think that if his performance is good, it won't affect him. Matt Johnson has proven himself as a really talented nonfiction story director, as he did Blackberry. People loved Blackberry. I never actually saw it, but I've seen that get heralded as one of the more underrated movies of last year. And more than anything, I just I want Dominic Sessa to be successful because I really, really enjoyed him in The Holdovers, and I would like to see him do more. I just worry that if this doesn't do well, it could stop a career before it really flowers. And that's the risk with biopics. That's the risk, you know, because we're getting, you know, a complete unknown here in a couple months with the Bob Dylan biopic. Not as touchy, you know, but a couple years ago, I guess ill-received, but it didn't ruin her career. Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe in Blonde. That obviously wasn't career ruining for her. So like I have faith that it will do what it can to help Dominic Sessa is kind of how I'm looking at it, because I'm excited to see him. I want to see more Sessa, and I'm interested that this is the first thing I've heard about him since The Holdovers, though, and it's just a really big swing for your second outing, I feel like, and maybe he'll pop up in more things before then, but I don't know. That's a big swing.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it just me, or like, not anything against Anthony Bourdain, you know, but like, I feel like if you're making a biopic, like the name, like maybe I'm just, I don't personally know him as much as like other people do, but like I feel like he's, I don't know, like it's not like an Elvis.
I get
or
what you
like,
mean. I get what you mean.
Marilyn Monroe.
That's,
I don't like.
Yeah. There's something there, you know. Like I've seen people post, like every once in a while you'll see a celebrity, and they look a lot like an actor or an actress, and then someone will tweet like, oh, blah, 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 I have a biopic for you. And every time I see one of those, I'm like, does that person need a fucking biopic? You know, like that's kind of how I look at it. And Anthony Bourdain, though, this is one of those more interesting, enigmatic figures that I feel could benefit from that treatment, as far as just illuminating a little bit more about, you know, like it is a young actor in that role. If it is going to be diving into a more full story and the taking off of his career, maybe that could be interesting, you know? Like I said, I don't know much about Anthony Bourdain. So like, maybe this is one of those opportunities where, you know, they take a little, not little known. Anthony Bourdain was obviously quite famous towards the end of his life.
I saw the commercials,
but
like, man, I mean, all the time. I feel like travel with Anthony Bourdain. Like, I feel like there's a saying that I should know, or something
right.
But it's escaping me. But no, I feel like he's been ingrained in my brain for quite some time.
Yeah, a long time, you know. So like that's why I'm like, he's received this kind of posthumous idolization, I think, that kind of puts him on a pedestal, not in a negative way. But I see people tweet about Anthony Bourdain a lot, which is kind of wild, you know. And it's just like people love that guy. So it's a risky thing, I feel like. Like I said, this early in a young career, an up and coming actor who seems really, really promising. Biopics are just big swings regardless, especially when they are about people who have passed away, especially in such tragic means. Like that's it's like how do you plan on telling the story? What part of the story do you plan on telling? Like what are we doing? Where are we going? That's kind of the concern. So I'm hesitantly pessimistic about how this could turn out, but I hope for the best. That's kind of where I'm at with the Tony biopic. But Matt Johnson seems to be a good filmmaker, so hopefully there can be something there. Next up, I watched the first episode of the Rick and Morty anime that premiered on Adult Swim and Max. This is going to be very brief because it is what it is. I'm not a huge like I enjoy Rick and Morty, you know, and it's one of those things that I hate saying I enjoy, but because of the type of person who typically enjoys it, or typically makes it known that they enjoy Rick and Morty. But regardless, I was intrigued. I was high as fuck. It was like 2 a.m. It was too late for a movie. I opened Max, and Rick and Morty, the anime, was there. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. I will not lie. I had a great time. It's very cerebral and heady, the way that your typical Rick and Morty stuff is. It's a little confusing. It plays with the time, like a time slip thing, multiple realities bleeding through to each other. I might have been too high to understand it. I was often edible, so like take that with a grain of salt when I say it's cerebral and heady. It's because I was like, what the fuck is happening?
You might have been in the perfect state of mind, actually, for this episode. So
I will say the animation is fucking gorgeous. I loved the way it looked, which is part of why I was so satisfied watching it at 2 a.m. nice and high. It was like, whoa. I liked it more than typical animation, the typical Rick and Morty animation. It's surprisingly good looking. I think it doesn't necessarily require you to know what's happening in Rick and Morty, but like it doesn't not require, because like Space Beth is in it, you know, like the clone Beth is in it and stuff. So it's like if you've never watched it, you might be like, what the fuck is that? Who the fuck is this? You know. But regardless, it's not like it's playing on anything that's just happened in the last season. It's not like the next season of Rick and Morty. It feels like it's probably going to be pretty anthology-based is my guess. Yeah, so didn't want to dive into that for too long. Just thought it was interesting. I didn't know it was coming out. I just happened upon it on Max, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is interesting. And it was fun. It was a good 20-minute viewing. I was like really, really tired, and I paused it. I was like, okay, am I like 5 minutes into this? I was like 16 minutes in, and I was like, okay, cool. It just kind of bled right past me. So might be one that I revisit sober and don't like as much as I did. But I did enjoy it. So I'll be looking forward to episode 2. It might be worth your time. And we've only got a couple pieces of entertainment news left. And we're going to start with the news, and then I'll get to my Alien Romulus review and Alien franchise ranking. So, according to Daniel RPK, take with a grain of salt. He's a scooper. He's been wrong. So, according to Daniel RPK, John Wick 5 is officially set to begin production in early 2025, with Keanu Reeves returning to star. Now, we obviously discussed the John Wick franchise a couple months ago in our Action Movies Galore project. That's how we kicked it off. We discussed what a John Wick 5 would look like to us.
Mm-hmm.
There's one version of a John Wick 5 I'll be okay with. And it's if they go absolutely fucking nuts with it and go, he's in hell fighting his way to heaven. That's cool. He's going to be reunited with his wife. And the way to do that is to kill the devil himself or something like that. Something fucking stupid. Like, if you are going to revive John Wick, make it as stupid as you possibly can. Take the biggest fucking swing you can. Don't hold back. Be nuts with it. That's what I want. Now, like I said, I'm taking this with a grain of salt. John Wick 5 has been said to be in the works for quite some time. I'm not going to believe it until Keanu Reeves is like, I'm doing John Wick 5. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm obviously, I'd prefer it lie dead. John Wick 4 is it. That's a brilliant ending to a brilliant franchise. There's, like I said, one way they can bring it back, and that's the way I mentioned.
One way out.
Yes.
And, I feel like they know. The fourth movie, they knew what they were doing, The kick down the stair, they knew they're going over the top already for the fourth one. And so I feel like they are self-aware enough to realize that, like, we're at number 5. Like, this is the time to go. Yeah, I feel, and that's, I don't know, I even saw on Twitter, like, he's got to be in hell. Like, I saw that take on Twitter. Someone like, this is how the movie has to be made. So it's like, it seems like that's what the people want too, and it makes sense. I don't know, it's, so I hope. But yeah, you're right. We shouldn't really, until Keanu or like, I guess, I don't know, the studio that makes it, but like, we shouldn't, be ready until they say that they're making it. But man,
yeah, it's one of those things where like like, I'll take it. I like Keanu Reeves. I like John Wick. And if they go the route where it's like, actually he faked his death and Winston helped cover it up, sure, fuck it, fine. Like, yeah, all right. But we're at a point in the franchise where it's like, why? Why did he fake his fucking death? Like, he to live peacefully, like he would have anyway, since he took out the fucking top. Like, I don't know. It's, if we're doing the same fucking, I'm going to bring down the table. Okay. Like, if that's the case, you kill every member of the fucking table and their entire family, and all of it. Like, you commit an atrocity. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he just kills everyone. That is the next movie. He's no longer
John Wick nukes the world.
He's no longer actually John Wick. I don't know. Maybe he's just like, he's lost it. He has actually lost it. He has nothing to live for.
Zombie
so
Wick.
He kills everybody. Yes, because that's the kind of meme, I guess, is that, he kills everybody. But this time, he literally wants to kill everybody. But I don't know if they'll go evil John Wick. That doesn't seem.
I don't want them to. Like, I don't want them to. That's why I'm like, I'm hesitant. I'm not like. It is what it is. I think that obviously, I would watch it regardless of what it's going to be. Like, if it's Keanu Reeves, I'm there. So I'll take it. But again, take it with a grain of salt. Daniel RPK reporting there, so we'll see. But I'm optimistic that if they do it right. If Chad Stahelski's at the helm, if Keanu Reeves is starring, I don't think they would just do it to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they would do it because they wanted to do it. And that's one of those things that I have a little faith in. So, yep, John Wick 5, possibly, hopefully not, possibly. If they do it right. But yeah, with that, I will do my final segment for entertainment, and that is my review for Alien Romulus. I got extremely lucky. Just another thing that I mean, and maybe it speaks to the power of the Alien film and Aliens. I got Emily to watch them. And she really fucking liked them. So I was hopeless on seeing Alien Romulus this weekend if Emily didn't want to go see it.
I see.
I was like, let's watch Alien. You know, if you don't dig it, you don't. It's got Sigourney Weaver. You like Sigourney Weaver, don't you? Everybody likes Sigourney Weaver. She was like, yeah, I love Sigourney Weaver. So I was like, ha, we're in. And I told her the first one's a little scary. The second one's a lot more action-y. There's a little bit more of a family thing going on. And then we were leaving to go see Alien Romulus, and she was like, wait, is Sigourney Weaver in this one? And I went, no, she's not. And she was like, you fucking, you dick. You know, like, I was like, it's Kaylee Spaney, though. You like Kaylee Spaney. You saw Priscilla. You like Priscilla. And she's like, yeah, I like Kaylee Spaney. So it was just a bunch of that. It was the same route to get her to see Alien Romulus. But, so I spent the last week. I'd only ever seen Alien and Aliens, obviously. And actually, I'd seen them out of order. I saw Aliens for the 52-year journey through film. And I didn't watch Alien until earlier this year when it was reshown for its 45th anniversary in theaters, which was very, very cool. I loved, like, Alien is now one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. I love Alien.
Okay.
It completely and utterly washes Aliens out of the fucking water for me. And so, the last week, I watched Alien 3, I watched Alien Resurrection, and then I watched the two prequels, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I wanted to see Alien Romulus. I was very excited. I'd heard I needed to get to the Alien franchise. I watched Alien earlier this year. Let's fucking do this. So I watched all that in anticipation, and I will get to my ranking and kind of dive into that a little bit after this Romulus review. So I was very excited. It opened to some so-so reviews from people I trust, and understandably so. It's a bit of a nostalgia trip. It's set between Alien and Aliens, and it's made by someone who loves Alien and Aliens. And you can tell. You know, and that's fine. You know, would I prefer you to take another bold, big swing with the Alien franchise? Probably. That's what I've really enjoyed about it, is that obviously you've watched Aliens. Not even close to the same tone as Alien. Alien 3, not even close to the same tone as Aliens. Alien Resurrection, not even close to the same tone as Alien 3. So like every movie is like it's its own fucking thing, you know? And this is the first time I felt that that's obviously not the case. You know, it's obvious that this person loves Aliens specifically. And that's fine, you know? It did make for a very satisfying visual experience. I love the aesthetics of Aliens, you know? That's one of those things that, like, what am I really complaining about? It's similar to Rogue One, you know? It's obvious Rogue One was made by people who really loved the original trilogy of Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like, same aesthetics, same period, same everything. And we're going for it, and we're gonna tell our own story, but it's obviously based in the same world, which is not an inherently bad thing. But it does have the same massive glaring flaw as Rogue One, which is digital necromancy. Rogue One revitalizing Peter Cushing to play Tarkin. They bring back Ian Holm to play a character in Alien Romulus. He was the synthetic in the first movie, Alien, and he passed away about 4 years ago. Yeah. And I will dive more into that here momentarily. It's really disappointing. And the main reason it's really disappointing is that it was like, at least in Rogue One, I still don't think it was the right move in Rogue One, but at least in Rogue One, Tarkin makes sense to be around. There is absolutely no reason for this character to be played by Ian Holm. And it's really, really disappointing, especially given what I've learned about the behind-the-scenes process of it, which is, you know, it was approved by everyone it needed to be approved by. Ian Holm's widow said that she felt he would love to be a part of a movie like this. You know, she was like, I think that this is something that he would be okay with, which, okay. You know, like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel, fine. It's more of a principle thing as far as what we're allowing movie studios to get away with, for me. Ridley Scott was on board. He thought it was a good idea. He was like, that seems fun. You know, like, it seems like a good way to connect it to Alien. Don't love that Ridley Scott was on board with that. It was a animatronic, because he played a synthetic. He plays a robot. You know, you remember the robot in Aliens that gets like torn in half. He's got like the white goopy blood and stuff. You know, like that. That's sort of there's a synthetic in every movie. That's how it goes. So he played the one in the very first Alien, Ian Holm, and the thing that really rubbed me the wrong way is that I don't even know who it would excite. Like, oh, Ian Holm, it's a face I've seen before. Okay. I enjoy Ian Holm. He was good as Bilbo Baggins, and he was really good as Ash in Alien. But I liked it because it was Ian Holm. You know, and not an animatronic CGI to look like him with generative AI producing his voice.
Yeah, that's the word. The voice. It's like it can look okay in pictures and in stills, and like that's how they can sell it and whatever. But the second they start talking,
it doesn't look good in pictures.
Oh, really?
That's what blows my mind. It is it's glaringly distracting how bad this thing looks. It doesn't look good, and it does sound like Ian Holm, but it feels wrong that it sounds like Ian Holm because it's a voice actor who is getting AI'd to sound like Ian Holm. And so it doesn't work for me at all on any front there, especially considering that he is across. There's another synthetic in the movie. The more prominent main synthetic is played by David Johnson, who is fucking incredible. Is undoubtedly, for me, the highlight of the movie. His portrayal of Andy is heartfelt and moving and touching. Probably my favorite performance of a synthetic across the Alien franchise, aside from maybe Michael Fassbender in the prequels. Yeah, you'll like the prequels. A lot of people don't like the prequels. You will like the prequels. David Johnson is incredible. I cannot fathom why the Ian Holm robot is not a different version of David Johnson. Would have made a lot more sense. Would have been a lot more. The conflict of the movie is, and the conflict of the Alien franchise is. It's pretty much anti-corporate at every chance it gets. I don't know if you remember that about Aliens. Like, kind of like, what's best for the company? What's best for the company? Well, it's not what's best for the people who are doing this shit. So, like, why are we doing that? The synthetics are programmed to go, well, what's best for the company? You know, like, what's best for Weyland-Yutani? And I think that David Johnson's character struggle would have been much more meaningful if that sentiment had been coming from another version of him. I think that would have hit a lot harder. So that's a massive glaring flaw of the movie, that Ian Holm's likeness is reproduced to play a role, a surprisingly prominent role. That's why I'm spoiling it, because it's not a spoiler. It's actually bullshit. You know, like, that's one of those things. Like, if you'd gone and seen Alien Romulus without watching Alien, you wouldn't even know why you're looking at what you're looking at.
I would, like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, Emily watched Alien 2 days before we went and saw Alien Romulus. She was like, why did that guy look so weird?
Yeah, wow.
You know, she couldn't even tell that it was supposed to be the same fucking guy. You know, like, so it's one of those things that's just like, I don't think we're doing a service to somebody's legacy if I can't even really tell it's the same guy. All that aside, a massive glaring flaw. I fucking loved it. I had a fantastic time. What I've come away from the Alien franchise is that I like every single movie, varying degrees. There are some glaring flaws. Man, is it a cool fucking world, though. Kaylee Spaney is wonderful as Rain in the lead role. I think that she is going to be an absolute fucking movie star. I've talked to you about the shot. You know, the shot where you show an actor and you know it's like, here's your movie star. This movie has one of those for Kaylee Spaney, and it works fucking brilliantly. So that's one of those things, is that, like, Fede Alvarez, the director of this movie, he has a brilliant visual sensibility. This movie looks fucking good. I'm so thankful we have another blockbuster on the air, aside from Dune 2, one that's not set in the desert, besides Dune 2 and Furiosa, that actually looks good. That's very satisfying. You know,
Yeah.
I'm very happy with the fact that this looks as good as it does, because holy shit does it look good. The score is beautiful. The sound design, Alien gets a lot of benefit from being similar in aesthetic to Star Wars while still being more grounded to Earth. Ridley Scott actually did his 4 favorites for Letterboxd at the premiere last week of Alien Romulus, and one of the films he listed was Star Wars, like the first Star Wars. He watched Star Wars in 1977 and grew so depressed that something so good could exist and that he didn't make it, that he scrapped what he was working on and began working on Alien.
What? Wow. He got so depressed that he made Alien?
Yeah, one of the best movies of all time. I would argue, and I love Star Wars. You know I love Star Wars. The first Star Wars is not as good as the first Alien. And I will stand by that. It's not Empire Strikes Back kind of exceeds all, but if there's anywhere I can argue it, I would take Alien over the first Star Wars. So it's incredible that he grew so depressed that somebody made something so inventive and so good that he couldn't keep working on the thing he was working on, and he had to go make Alien.
I mean,
so it does benefit from a few of the same, aesthetics. One of the first opening shots of Alien is a tracking shot of a ship flying overhead, like the opening shot of Star Wars. Like it's obvious that it's direct homages to Star Wars are there. So that is it's got those going for it always. Soundtrack and sound design are always good. The production design is brilliant, and like I said, the performances really seal it for me. Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson are so good. This movie has a surprising amount of heart. Because of the reviews I was seeing, I wasn't incredibly encouraged. I didn't think I would love it. I didn't think I'd have a great time. I was like, oh no. People are comparing it to Rogue One, and the issues they have with Rogue One, I always understand. And then I remember, hold the fort though, I really love Rogue One. So what's my issue here? So that's one of those things where, like, your opinion gets influenced. So like, this movie actually had to win me over to a degree, because I did go in knowing it did digital necromancy with a character being portrayed by Ian Holm. I'm automatically going to go, well, most of what you're doing is probably in poor taste, if that's something you're willing to do. And it wasn't. And it's what makes that decision all the more glaring and all the more glaringly bad. It stands out because the rest of the movie is actually really good. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, if they hadn't done that, I might be coming away from this thinking it's a top 2 or 3 Alien flick.
wow.
But because they did, it substantially drops it down the list for me. And like I said, I loved Fede Alvarez's work on it. I thought that again, Kaylee Spaney is going to be so good. Priscilla, Civil War, and now this. She's going to be in Knives Out 3 next year. She's got the goods. She's going to be good for a long time. And I hope that this gives David Johnson a little bit more work. I mentioned in my 2023 ranking Rye Lane. I don't know if you remember that. The rom-com from last year that I said was like my favorite rom-com of the 20s. He's the male lead in that. So he's got a couple under his belt that I really dig, and I can't wait to see him in more things. And they're just the highlight. It's got some freaky alien stuff. Definitely the scariest Alien movie for me since Alien. It's got a lot more horror aesthetics than Aliens, which is obviously more science fiction action. Not science fiction. They're all science fiction action. And then Prometheus and Covenant are grander and just really big. They are scary, but they're not pure horror, I would say. And neither is Romulus, but it plays with a lot more of the slasher vibe that Alien had than the action vibe that Aliens has. So, I mean, I dig it. And I think that a lot of people who aren't critics also will. That's the other thing, is that I completely understand where like some critics are coming from in terms of, well, it's just a rehashing. Well, it's kind of the same thing, but brand new technology. It looks really good, you know, like, but here's the thing. If a movie sounds really good, looks really good, is well performed,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of what I want, you know, like that's what I want from a movie. So like, there are a lot worse movies to be emulating than Alien and Aliens. Like, I'll take it. And again, I understand the gripes, as I do with Rogue One, you know, like it is kind of like similar story beats to a lot of stuff. You know, I saw it being described as a franchise best of, you know, like a best of album, which I think is applicable. I like best of albums, man. It's the best of, you know, like, so it's one of those things where it's like, from a pure film enjoyment standpoint, it's really, really strong. I can get behind some of those criticisms, though, and I can understand them. But boy, is it nice to see a blockbuster lit well. Holy shit. Coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine, this was a breath of fucking fresh air in terms of franchise filmmaking. I've seen a lot of people declare it far worse as far as franchise filmmaking is, not compared to Deadpool and Wolverine, but just like, what are we even doing with franchise filmmaking at this point? And I disagree wholeheartedly. I think that I'll be surprised if this doesn't get a sequel. It's doing really, really good at the box office. And Fade Alvarez has a really big love for the movie. It's getting generally well received. I'll be astonished if this doesn't get a direct sequel. And frankly, I'll watch it. You know, that's where I'm at. And it's got high stakes, high reward, a freaky fucking like Fade Alvarez tried to sell it as you don't need to see any Alien movie prior to watching it, which is just a bold-faced fucking lie. I think that you obviously need to see Alien and Aliens. You'd even benefit from seeing the prequels, which I didn't think they would actually dig into it all. You'd even benefit from seeing Alien 4, and if you're going to watch all the other movies, you might as well watch Alien 3, you know? So like, it's one of those things where, it's one of those love letter to the franchise films, which again, I can understand why people are like, stop doing that. Just make your own franchise film. And then the fans can write the love letters, you know, like, yeah. But also, like, I liked it. So, like, what am I going to say? You know, like, that's where I'm at.
I would have never gotten Tron Legacy. I feel like it's kind of applicable here. It's like, I only started with Tron Legacy, and I didn't even know of the original one, and I go back, and I realize, oh, wow, here's the critical homage that is, that Tron Legacy is clearly paying homage, or here's the movie that they're clearly paying homage to, and
that's the thing, is that I think you could benefit a lot from watching the. He's not entirely wrong that you can just watch Alien Romulus. You know, like it would be an entertaining. There's just a little bit more you'd glean from it, in terms of the intricacy. Like, there's actually a pretty big plot line that directly correlates to the prequels. That if they haven't seen the prequels is still pretty important, and you still gather how important it is. But it's much cooler if you know what happens in the prequels. So it's. I'm incredibly mixed on it because I had a great time, but I absolutely understand where a lot of people's issues are coming from. Ultimately, I enjoyed it. I do think it's worth your time. I think a lot of people are coming at it in bad faith. I think that there's a lot of principle being taken, which is never a bad thing. You know, I think that if you are principally going, well, this movie is bad because they did digital necromancy with Ian Holm, I cannot blame you. And I agree. That part of the movie is awful. It's inexcusable. Does not need to be there. Unbelievable that it is. Especially considering he's a prominent character. Should not have happened. It does, like, if you're going, principally, I don't want us to keep remixing what we've already seen. Again, I get it. Cannot blame you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a take I understand and can even get with, you know? But ultimately, whenever I'm in the theater and I'm smiling and I'm jumping in my seat, little jump scares, and I'm in it, and it's gripping me, and I'm there, I can't lie to myself and tell you I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did like it. I had a good time. So that's one of those things where, like, I got to be real with myself, and I understand the principle. Again, I do, but I had a good time. And it won me over. And movies that have to win me over and do win me over, I'm all the more impressed with. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm happy with it. But that leads me to my Alien franchise ranking. Now, I'm not going to go beat by beat, kind of step by step, but I'm just going to lay it out for you. And there's kind of tiers. My one is my one, and that's Alien. The very first Alien movie. There's no doubt that is my favorite Alien flick.
Okay.
2 through 4, I think, kind of depends on what I've watched most recently. Right now, what I watched most recently is Aliens. So Aliens is at second. 3 and 4 are the prequels. I've got them in the order of Covenant and Prometheus. Now, I love those movies, though. There's a grandeur to them and a philosophical density that I did not anticipate. Kind of ask the question, what if God is real and he fucking hates you? That's the premise of the Alien prequels.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this franchise.
Oh, you will like it. Like, I'm astonished how much I liked it. You know, like, I am now comfortable declaring it like one of my 3 favorite franchises of all time, alongside Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And it's below Empire and it's below Raiders, but Alien's right there. So, like, that's why it's like, it's those 3. But, yeah, so I've got Aliens at 2, Covenant and Prometheus at 3 and 4. 5 is where I'm going to slot in Romulus. There are 7 movies. 5 is where I'm slotting in Romulus. It will not go higher. It won't. And the reason it doesn't go lower is because at 6 I have Alien Resurrection, which is the 4th film in the franchise, and at 7 I have Alien 3. I enjoy all of these movies a great deal. Alien 3 is unquestionably well done. That one's directed by David Fincher. And I watched the assembly cut, the director's cut. It just really, really dragged for me, which is not a problem I have with a lot of the Alien movies. It went on for a very long time. And I was kind of like, wow, we're still going, but I don't feel like we've done that much. And I still enjoyed the story. I think as far as what Ellen Ripley's initial arc was, it concludes it in a really compelling way. It has Charles Dance, Tywin Lannister, who I really, really like, and he's really, really good in it. It's been quite young compared to Game of Thrones. And so I enjoyed Alien 3 a great deal. It is a direct response to Aliens and kind of takes issue with the tone Aliens is. Which is why I could see Aliens falling as low as 4 on my list, below the prequels even. Because nobody gets this franchise like Ridley Scott, who created the franchise, obviously. This is not Star Wars or Indiana Jones. There is not a light at the end of the tunnel. There is not hope. It is fucked. It is fucked beyond belief. Like that is Alien. The Alien franchise to me is about our indomitable spirit, our fighting against the odds, no matter what. We want to live. We want to get better. We want to keep doing it. We can't.
Nice.
We will continuously win small battles. We will 100% lose the war. That is what the Alien franchise is to me. And that's what makes Aliens actually stand out really odd tonally after watching all of the Alien movies. It is far and away the most optimistic. It is incredibly optimistic. And Alien 3 comes in and shits all over it. Like, it is... You will start Alien 3 and you'll go, what the fuck? You know, like, that's kind of like from the get-go. You'll be like, what the fuck? And while I appreciate that about the movie, It's just not good enough for me to elevate it. Now, and because it is dragging and because it's boring, that's why, and boring's a stretch. The last act is really, really strong. And the setup is really, really strong, but there's just a really long middle that I'm not a huge fan of. Now, that directly leads me into 6 here with Resurrection, which is a super fun movie. It's not even as good as Alien 3 is. Like, it's written by Joss Whedon, who I fucking hate. I do not like Joss Whedon as a person. He can write a fun movie. You know, he can. And I think it doesn't even have a good script. It's got a bad script, but it's fun. And it's like, it blends the tone of Alien's kind of hopeful, positive, found family sort of vibe, and the whole we're gonna fucking die, we're fucked vibe of everything else, you know. And ultimately, it comes in at under 2 hours. Sigourney Weaver is obviously having a good time, you know. Like, she played this one's set 200 years after Alien 3, and she's in the first 3 Alien movies. So just to give you an idea of what you're getting into there, it's absurdist and it's ridiculous, but there's a certain element to it where, you know, I mentioned getting super high and watching Rick and Morty. I watched that immediately after I watched Alien Resurrection. So I was nice and baked for Alien Resurrection. And that is probably the only Alien movie I'd recommend you being just like absolutely blitzed for, because Resurrection can be a good fucking time if you just let go. Romulus is just unquestionably better than both those movies. Granted, I wish it wouldn't have had Ian Holmes' likeness in it. That's just kind of where I'm at. Yeah, so, and that's why the top 4 have to be all 3 of Ridley Scott's films. And Aliens is just unquestionably good. Yes, I do think it doesn't quite fit the tone with the rest of the Alien movies, and you'll see that a lot more whenever you do watch all of them. It obviously is an odd man out, but it's just that good of an action movie. You know, like, it is just that good of a sci-fi action flick that it has to be one of your top few in this franchise. And that's why, like, I have it at 2 right now. I watched it yesterday before I saw Romulus, so I was really, really excited about it. I could see it going as low as 4 because Covenant and Prometheus. In fact, right now, I even struggle to tell you why I have Aliens above it. So, like, that's why I'm like, it might actually be 4. So, but 1 is unquestionably Alien. So, one more time, and I'm actually going to rearrange it based off of my gut feeling in this moment. Alien 1, Alien Covenant 2, Prometheus 3, Aliens 4, Romulus 5, Resurrection 6, and Alien 3, 7. Now, what I'm excited to do next, I watched Predator earlier today. Okay. I'm going to watch the Predator films and Alien versus Predator and slot those in as well. And I'm very excited about that. Predator, right now where my list is, would slot in above Romulus but below the other 4 Alien movies. And I'm excited for that. So that concludes my Alien segment. Thank you for sticking with me. I know that was a lot of talking about Alien, but I have had such a fun fucking week with Alien. I've been so excited about it. I couldn't wait for Dispatch. I was really ready to talk about it.
Hey, well, you've convinced me to go into the franchise now. I mean, the prequel. I was even gonna go to the prequels. I was just gonna go Aliens and Romulus, but now I don't know. Now it's gotten me to rethink it a little bit. And I think Predator. I remembered the slicing across the chest scene wrong. I don't know if you. I thought that it ended with him just jumping off the bridge. No, the Predator just blows up there. He just kind of accepted his fate. But I thought that was a funny moment to relive here. But that's crazy. I don't know if are we still planning on doing the on the spot here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know this episode's gone a little long, but I do want to do the on the spot. But we are going to do the plugs first. So if you would stick through these plugs, we're going to do on the spot afterwards. We're actually going to put off album of the week this week. We do have the Fablemans on Cinema Surprise this Friday, so we have an album of the week there. We'll just do an on the spot and we'll call it good. So stick through the plugs. On the spot after, we're asking a question regarding movies. So if you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom.pod where you can get the video version of Dispatch and of most of our stuff. Dispatch exclusively behind that paywall of $1.50 a month. You can get the video. You can see us talking about things. Joe likes to edit them, throw in little pictures and such with what we're doing. So it's a fun experience. You can get a little bit out of it, and that's $1.50 a month. More than anything, you're supporting this podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. You can head to Twitter and follow @PennyBloomPod to keep up with anything we are going to be doing. And it's important that you do that because we're shifting plans kind of regularly right now. We're in a little bit of a limbo state trying to figure out what's next. We've got Cinema Surprise Season 1 coming to a close this Friday. We're continuing Fulcrum, a Star Wars podcast on Wednesdays, or we're currently doing a Rebels rewatch. But we've got a lot of stuff on the horizon. We want to do a Cinema Surprise Season 2. Not sure when that's going to be. Cinementalists just got pushed back a month. We know we're going to be doing that. It's not launching in less than a month. It is now launching in a little less than 2 months. So that's something you get to look forward to a little bit more. And frankly, there's a chance that that even gets edited. But the way that you would know about that as soon as possible is on Twitter, @PennyBloomPod. It is as timely as you are going to get updates on what we're doing. PennyBloomPod on Twitter. This is the last Dispatch that'll be on a Monday. We are going to be moving to Fridays starting next Friday. Not this Friday, but the Friday after, as I'm going to Nashville, or I'll be stopping in Nashville. We're going to Gatlinburg. I'm going to be in the Smoky Mountains for a wedding this weekend, and I'm very excited. So you'll get a little story about that when I get back. I'll give you a little update, but that'll be when I get back. We won't be doing Dispatch until Fridays from now on. So Friday mornings, that's when you'll be expecting Dispatch. Mondays are getting a little shifty for us. So Friday morning Dispatch, that's what you can expect going forward after this week. So we're going to have 2 weeks of stuff to talk about next week. And hopefully we'll have a little bit more. We'll be a little more finite with it. We'll be picky. We'll be picky, but we'll find the right stuff for you. So yeah, that's next Friday. Be there. And, leave a 5-star rate and review and download wherever you might be listening. We would appreciate that greatly. That helps me a lot. Gives me a little bit of an idea of what you're rocking with. Since Dispatch is extremely timely, if you would like to tweet at us, ask us questions or anything, hit us up. Hit us up on Twitter. Comment on YouTube because the audio version is available on YouTube. Obviously not the video, but you can leave a comment, tweet at us. I like engaging with you. I do. And we don't get a lot of engagement, but I would appreciate it if you are listening and you do have something to say, that you would let us know what that is. We would love to hear from you. So tweet at us @PennyBloomPod, comment on YouTube. You could even leave it in a review if you'd like, and we'd appreciate that a lot. 5 stars. Do it. Thank you. Let's do On the Spot. We got a movie-themed question, and if you'd like, I like it when you go first.
All right.
I like to save mine. So if you would,
it's funny
take it
you bring
away.
up Predator right at the end there because it's what I watched, and it's how I kind of birthed my question. Because you talked to me about Alien as well, and I'm like, oh wait, there's Alien versus Predator movies, and I'm like, what a crazy mashup of worlds, and so I'm like, I wanted to ask, you take any two. Anything, not just franchises. It could be any 2 movies that you want to see together. 2 worlds, I guess, that you want to see collide. Right.
And that's interesting. I like that a lot. I like that question because it is extremely broad. And I was thinking about that while I was watching Predator. It just kind of lends itself to that. So, but I was thinking about it in the context of what I would like to see the Predator face. We also had John Wick 5 brought up earlier. If John Wick 5 is John Wick versus Predator, I'm in. You know?
Whoa.
If John Wick 5 is dropping the Predator into... Like, John Wick 5 isn't even like a direct sequel. It's just at some point during John Wick's career, and it's the time he faced the Predator. That's fucking awesome. I'm there. You know what I'm saying? So that was the thought I had. John Wick versus Predator would be very, very cool. Now, I really enjoy the movie Prey, which I don't think you've ever ended up making it around to, right?
No, I haven't.
The one where the Predator faces Amber. What's her name? Thunder. I can't remember her name right now, but she's an incredible lead actress in Prey. Damn, that's gonna piss me off. I'm gonna look into that real quick. I'm sorry. I don't want to leave you hanging and not mention her name. Amber Midthunder. That's what it was. But the concept of the Predator being dropped into different time periods and cultures is really exciting, because he faces off with a Native American tribe in the early 1800s, I think, in that movie, or mid 1700s. I can't remember exactly the period, but like the Predator versus the fucking Yakuza, or something like that. Dropping the Predator into samurai shogun era Japan, like that would be fucking sick. Let's see. I was thinking of. There's probably something with Westworld. Westworld could get pretty fucking awesome. Ooh. With see, now all I'm thinking about is versus Predator, but like
hey, not a bad.
It would be cool if they melded the worlds of Westworld and Alien, and Westworld is the predecessor to the synthetics as they appear in Alien. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the refinement, because they all have the white blood and stuff. Like, they got that thing going. It might even be the case, but I think that would be a cool concept.
Westworld is just the prequel to Aliens, or would it? Is that how
the
it
company
works?
that runs Westworld? Yeah, that's how it would work. Westworld is like run by Weyland-Yutani, which is the company that is the company in Alien and Aliens. Like, that would be really cool.
Oh, I thought you said that it's
would
legit.
Be
like,
sick.
Actually, Westworld.
No, that's not. That is not the case. But it would be cool if it was. Like, if they recontextualized it in a way, and rights would have to be moved around and everything. Like, it would be a big old fucking mess. But like, if you are melding stuff, I would love a Westworld and Alien franchise melding, kind of a continuous thread there.
Man,
I mean, like that's all the more reason why you'll enjoy the prequels, is that it deals with a lot of similar concepts, as far as like creation, and the main character in the prequels is one of the synthetics. It's basically Westworld on a different fucking scale. So like, it's awesome. I loved the prequels. But yeah, Westworld and Alien, John Wick versus Predator. I would dig that a lot.
If you just called it, if this is what is happening, like, because I don't like. I guess Predator's not really. It's Alien, Romulus that's back in the popularity. So I don't. But it would be.
They kind of go hand in hand because of it, though. Like,
it would be insane if they come out and it's like, Predator has been dropped, and who else can we get to kill him other than John Wick? You know, even if they resurrect him because they need John Wick to kill Predator, I don't even care, because Predator's already in there and it's already going wild. So like, I'd actually be kind of down with a
meld. I mean, like, Predator is the same. We know Predator is the same world as Aliens, so they use John Wick's body and memories to create a synthetic, and he's just robot John Wick that's fighting the Predator. Now I'm in. Now I'm there. But you know, there's all sorts of possibilities. But I dig that. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff I could do there. But like, I was thinking Mission Impossible, James Bond, something that would team up Ethan Hunt and James Bond would be really cool. Maybe get Jason Bourne in the mix. It would mostly be like action heroes. You know, that would be pretty gnarly. I would like to see that. I mean, obviously I don't want it permanently, but a DC Marvel crossover would be cool.
Yeah.
A DC Marvel crossover film would be pretty fucking sick. And you know, the sound off for the principal thing I was talking about earlier kind of loses steam when I say I think that would be cool, but like, it would be if it was like one thing that they never touched again. They were like, we're teaming up for this one fucking thing, and they will never do it again. I'm in. You know, like, I'm there. You know, that would be cool. But all right, my question for you. We've watched a lot of great movies, and we've watched a lot of great movies from a lot of great directors. What are... I'm asking for a top 5. You can list as many as you want. Your top 5 favorite director-actor combos.
Ooh, okay. This is a good one. I have... Let's see if I can get to 5. At least what I know for sure. Schwartzman and Wes. That's a classic right there. Probably is the number one. Spielberg and Harrison Ford, I do love for Indy. That one's up
true.
there. Probably Spielberg might have a couple. Let's see, or Wes might have a couple. Well, those are the two for sure, Wes and Spielberg. Let's see. Who else?
I've got a big old list here. If you'd like to hear me kind of rattle off,
It'd be nice to have a bank.
Scorsese, De Niro.
Okay, that's good. That's very good.
Scorsese, De Niro is absolutely top one for me. In top two, the other one for me would be Akira Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune, where they did Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, Rashomon, Redbeard, all a storied career together. So they were my top two. One that I know you'll like that you're forgetting, that's slipping your mind right now, Jordan Peele, Daniel Kaluuya. That's one that I think that is one of your favorites as far as I recall. Let's see. Christopher Nolan's got a few. You could go Tom Hardy. You could go Cillian Murphy. There's a few good options there. Greta Gerwig with Timothée Chalamet or Saoirse Ronan. Got a couple there. Yorgos Lanthimos and Emma Stone. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. That's a fun one just principally.
That one's awesome for Evil Dead too. That's awesome. I was thinking more for Spider-Man, for the cameos that he's popping up there. But no, for like that one is actually a cool story.
3 Evil Dead movies, 3 Spider-Man movies. Like they've done a lot together.
Did Matt Damon and Ben Affleck technically did they direct that or they just wrote? They wrote an act, so they didn't direct it. Okay.
However, that like if you want to even broaden this to Hollywood duos, just generally, I would accept Ben Affleck and Matt
I think that'd be the only one that feels cool. At least that feels like that actor pair. But I do like De Niro, Scorsese. That one I can't believe I didn't think of them. So I think I missed the one
Tarantino.
That you said was slipping. I was cracking up there. That you said was definitely that I was slipping.
Jordan Peele and Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm trying to run through the directors, and I'm like running through the spotlight, the director's spotlight, and I'm like, nothing's really gone. Okay, there we go. That is Jordan Peele, just one of my favorite directors in general. I guess all of these people would be. Yeah, it's hard to give of who is the favorite though, because I feel like I'm just picking my favorite director at the end of the day. But Wes and Schwartzman.
I've got a fun list. Yeah, Wes and Schwartzman was on my short list as well.
That one's they're big.
Yeah, I mean like Wes and fucking anybody in his fucking at this point is there. Tilda Swinton, Adrian Brody,
Willem Dafoe, a little bit.
Owen Wilson. Yeah. Owen Wilson might be a top tier one.
That's a good one.
Then we got the ones that are getting ushered in right now with Jeffrey Wright and Scarlett Johansson and Bryan Cranston and that whole crew. Liev Schreiber, like those are the newbies. But Schwartzman, Owen Wilson, they've been there since the beginning, so it's kind of hard to pick anybody else.
I might give Wes the double nod and give them both of them for if I were to give a top 5. I'd put both of them in there. Scorsese, De Niro is in there. I wish I had the Kurosawa. I've only seen Yojimbo, so I can't really speak to the long career with them two. But I feel like if I were to get around to it, that they would eventually. But man, yeah, this I don't know. I and definitely Peele and Kaluuya for the modern.
Yeah, no, I dig that. Mine, I would go Kurosawa, Mifune, Scorsese, De Niro. To spread a little more love beyond the West side of things, I'm gonna go David Lynch, and I have a couple options there with Kyle MacLachlan or Laura Dern. I love all of his movies with both of them. Blue Velvet, Dune, Twin Peaks, all sorts of stuff he did with Kyle MacLachlan, and Laura Dern with Wild at Heart and Inland Empire and Twin Peaks, The Return. I would go Paul Thomas Anderson and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman got to do a lot of really interesting stuff under PTA while he was alive. And some of the most interesting work he ever did in his career. I loved him in Punch Drunk Love. I loved him in The Master. He was in Magnolia, Boogie Nights, Hard Eight. He was in all sorts of stuff. And now even his son is Cooper Hoffman, was in Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson movie from a couple years ago. So that's pretty cool. let's see. John Ford and John Wayne, kind of a classic. I've only seen a couple of their movies, so I can't really speak to it, but I had to bring them up because they were they're in that Kurosawa Mifune tier. John Carpenter and Kurt Russell is a really strong combo. I'm kind of Bong Joon-ho and Song Kang-ho, the lead of Parasite and the director of Parasite, and Memories of Murder and Snowpiercer and The Host. They've teamed up a lot, and so like there's just a lot of good options. But I think I would land on that Scorsese, De Niro, Kurosawa, Mifune, PTA, PSH, Lynch, and let's go Dern. Spread some love. And then I think I would go Bong Joon-ho and Song Kang-ho. So I think that would be my top 5. I have a lot more options, but yeah, I like it. I thought it was a fun question, get you to think about.
Yeah, I'm not as seasoned, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, the reason I asked top 5 is because my initial gut was top 3, but then I was like, I made a list and I came up with like 15, and I was like, oh no, I won't be able to mention all of them. So like that was where I was at. But yeah, then with that, I think we can conclude this episode of the Penny Bloom Dispatch. And like I said, you can't be expecting anything next Monday, but we'll be back on Dispatch next Friday, the last Friday in August. We will be there. You ought to be there, and we'll be doing a lot of stuff over there. I'm very, very excited. Come on back next Friday, and we'll have that there for you. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And go fucking watch Alien. Do it. Do it now.